soft instrumental music fades in. Hi, I'm Sarah. Today's story is one of those that stops you in your tracks, not because it's full of drama, but because it hits somewhere deep, especially if you've ever felt used by the people who were supposed to love you most. This is Lauren's story, and it begins with a sentence no one wants to overhear. "You're our lifesaver," her mother said sweetly, right after Lauren transferred $400 to cover another household crisis. But then, her mother forgot to hang up the phone. What Lauren heard next shattered her. She thinks we love her, she's a mistake. Let's rewind a bit. Lauren is 28 years old, living in a modest one-bedroom apartment, and working full-time in finance for a well-known firm. She's bright, focused, and the kind of employee who never misses a deadline. On a regular Tuesday morning, her boss, Mr. Bennett, a man she's worked under for 3 years, called her into his office. He was seated behind a polished wooden desk, a stack of reports in front of him. "Lauren," he said, "have a seat. I've been reviewing your work. Your financial reports are exceptional, and the way you handled the Morrison account last month, you saved us thousands and a legal nightmare." Lauren's heart fluttered. She thought, could this be it? A raise? A promotion? Then came the offer. "We're expanding our Dallas branch," Mr. Bennett explained. "I want you there as senior financial analyst. It's a big step, $15,000 more annually, full relocation covered, and real potential for a management track in under 2 years if you stay the course." Lauren felt the weight of the moment. It was everything she'd worked toward. But then reality hit like a brick to the chest. Dallas was over 8 hours away from her family, the same family she'd quietly sacrificed so much for. He gave her 4 days to decide. "I know your family means a lot to you," he said gently, "but just make sure this isn't another opportunity you let pass you by." When she left his office, her mind was spinning. Now, here's where it gets complicated. Lauren is the eldest of 3 siblings. Her father still does construction when his back isn't acting up. Her mother had to stop working retail 3 years ago because of severe arthritis. Her brother Tyler, 25, works part-time in a warehouse. Her sister Brooke, 23, drifts between minimum wage retail gigs. Lauren was always the smart one, a full-ride scholarship to a respected financial college, thanks to years of hard work and her parents' early encouragement. And when she graduated, she did what so many of us would. She gave back. It started small, $200 for car repairs, $300 for a medical bill, a little help with Tyler's rent, some cash for Brooke's new work uniform. Then her mom's arthritis got worse. The mortgage became unmanageable. So Lauren stepped in again, just until they got on their feet. Except they never did. Soon she was covering the mortgage, paying medical bills, and handling every family emergency. While others her age were buying homes, traveling, or investing in their futures, Lauren was skipping vacations, driving an old car with a busted AC, and eating store-brand cereal, all so her family could stay afloat. And through it all, they kept saying the same thing. "You're our angel. We don't know what we'd do without you." Until the day she found out exactly what they thought of her when they assumed she wasn't listening. That's when everything changed. You know, looking back, I always thought I owed them everything. My mom would say, "We raised you right, Lauren. You're successful because of how we raised you. We made sure you read books and did your homework every night. That scholarship, that was our hard work too." And part of me believed it. I mean, they did encourage me to study. They scraped together money to buy me secondhand textbooks when they could, sat with me through late-night algebra struggles, and celebrated every little victory like it was a gold medal. So, when I graduated and landed my first real job, helping them financially just made sense. It started small. Mom's car needed a $200 repair. Then Dad's hospital visit cost another $300. Tyler needed help with a security deposit. Brooke needed money for new shoes and slacks for her job interview. It felt natural. I was finally in a position to give back. And they always sounded so grateful. "You're our angel," Mom would say. "You're the glue that holds this family together." But then came the bigger asks. When Mom's arthritis got worse and she stopped working altogether, the mortgage payments fell behind. Dad's hours got cut after a back injury, so I started covering the mortgage just until things stabilized. But Mom never went back to work, and things never did stabilize. Slowly, subtly, I had become the full-time provider for a 5-person household, and I didn't even live there. Every paycheck, I was paying their mortgage, covering Mom's prescriptions, helping Tyler when his hours were short, and bailing Brooke out every time she hopped jobs or missed a bill. Meanwhile, I was living paycheck to paycheck in a rundown 1-bedroom apartment, eating boxed mac and cheese and praying my 12-year-old car would start in the morning. I hadn't taken a proper vacation in over 3 years. My coworkers went to Napa, Cancun, or the Smoky Mountains. I was just trying to keep my internet from being shut off. But hey, they were family. And I convinced myself that was enough. Then came the Saturday dinner that changed everything. I drove over like I always did, same pot roast, same laughs around the old oak table. But I had news this time, big news. After we finished eating, I took a breath and said, "I have something to tell you all. My boss offered me a promotion this week, but it's in Dallas. I'd have to move." Silence. I watched the color drain from my mom's face like she'd seen a ghost. Then came the tears, real tears, and they weren't happy ones. "You can't leave us, Lauren. You can't just abandon your family like this," she cried, clutching a napkin to her cheek. I tried to explain, "It's not abandonment, it's a job, a huge opportunity." But it didn't matter. "If you move, we're in trouble. We count on you. Your father's back, my therapy bills, the mortgage. How are we supposed to afford all this? And you're going to have moving costs. You won't be able to send money like before." Dad nodded solemnly. "She's right. You're needed here. Family comes first, Lauren." Then Tyler spoke. "What about my rent? I can't afford my place without you." And Brooke chimed in. "I just started a new job. If you're gone, I won't have help if something happens." I looked around the table. Faces I loved. Faces I had sacrificed everything for. Faces that now looked at me not as a daughter or sister, but as a safety net, a walking paycheck. I should have said no. I should have stood up for myself. But the guilt was louder than my gut. So I said it. "Okay. I won't take the job. I'll stay." Mom's tears stopped instantly. She smiled like a light switch had flipped. "I knew you'd make the right choice." Everyone breathed a little easier. The conversation drifted back to weekend plans and leftover cake. But I sat there in silence, staring at my plate, a knot in my chest growing tighter. Because deep down, I knew I just made the biggest mistake of my life. Mom was crying, then smiling through her tears. "Oh, thank goodness," she whispered, reaching for my hand across the table. "I knew you'd make the right choice. You've always been such a good daughter." Everyone at the table let out a collective sigh of relief, like I'd just fixed a leaky roof or paid off some invisible debt. The conversation shifted back to weekend sales and Tyler's favorite football team, like nothing had happened. But I sat there, nodding along, heart heavy, feeling like I had just thrown my future under that dinner table and walked away. That following Monday, I walked into Mr. Bennett's office, dreading every step. "I won't be taking the Dallas offer," I said. He didn't look surprised, just disappointed. I understand. Family obligations can be complicated. Then he paused. Lauren, before you go, I want you to ask yourself something. Is your relationship with your family truly equal? Truly healthy? Or have you just gotten used to carrying all the weight? I didn't know how to respond, so I just thanked him and left. 3 weeks passed. I slid right back into the rhythm I knew too well. Work all day, shuffle bills at night, try to squeeze 36 hours of effort into a 24-hour day. There was always something. Mom's prescriptions, Dad's chiropractor visit, Tyler's rent, Brooke's latest car trouble. My paycheck disappeared faster than I could earn it. I picked up overtime shifts, skipped meals, and quietly prayed my old sedan would last just one more winter. Then Emily, my best friend from college, texted me. She found a great deal on a Miami weekend, round-trip flights and 3 nights at a beachfront hotel for under $800. Come on, Lauren, she pleaded. You haven't taken a real vacation in years. You need this. She was right, but my brain immediately did the math. $800? That's a new phone for Tyler, a down payment on Dad's medical bill, maybe Brooke's utility bill next month. So I told her what I always told her. Maybe next time. I've got some family stuff going on. The truth was, part of me felt good being needed. When Mom called to say thank you for covering her massage therapy, or when Tyler hugged me and called me the best sister in the world, those moments felt like my reward, my reason. At least, that's what I told myself. Then came the Tuesday that changed everything. I was at my desk, combing through quarterly budget reports, when my phone lit up. Mom. Hey, Mom, I answered. Hi, honey, she said, in that tone she always used when a favor was coming. I hate to bother you at work, but we've got a little situation. Here we go. What kind of situation? I asked. Well, she began, the kitchen sink started leaking yesterday. Your father tried to fix it, but it made things worse. There's water damage under the cabinet. The plumber says it'll cost about $400 to repair. I closed my eyes and rubbed my temples. I'd just paid their mortgage, covered Brooke's car repairs, and still had my own rent due by Friday. My checking account was running on fumes, but I heard myself say, okay, I'll transfer the money tomorrow morning. Oh, Lauren, she breathed, immediately switching to that sugary tone again. You're a lifesaver. I don't know what we'd do without you. We were up all night worrying about this, but I knew you'd come through. You always do. Her words warmed me for half a second. We hung up and I set my phone on my desk, but something made me pause. The call was still active. She hadn't hung up. Then I heard it, her voice again, this time sharp, annoyed, unguarded. What followed would rewrite everything I thought I knew about love, family, and sacrifice. And it all started with one sentence. I was just about to hang up when I noticed something. The call was still connected. At first, I thought maybe Mom had forgotten to hit end. It had happened before. I reached for the screen to hang up myself until I heard her voice again. But this time, she wasn't speaking to me. Well, that was easy enough, she said. Except it wasn't the warm, grateful voice I'd just heard. It was colder, sharper, dismissive. She's such a little martyr, she scoffed. Always comes through, doesn't she? I froze. What? What was she talking about? Dad chimed in with a chuckle. $400 for a sink I could have fixed with a $20 part? Please, why bother when our personal ATM is on speed dial? My heart began pounding in my chest. I held the phone closer to my ear, too stunned to breathe. She's so pathetic, Mom continued, desperate to be needed. It's actually embarrassing. That whole, that's what family is for, garbage. She mimicked my voice in a whiny tone. God, she makes me sick sometimes. At least she's useful. I felt my throat tighten. Then Tyler's voice joined in. I've been dropping hints about that new phone for weeks, and she still hasn't gotten it. She's cheap. You should just tell her directly, Brooke said, laughing. I usually say my car broke down or I need new work clothes. It works every time. They were all there, all of them, laughing at me. Remember when she turned down that job in Dallas? Dad said. I thought we were screwed for a minute. Yeah, Mom replied proudly. But once she mentioned moving, I turned on the waterworks. Said we needed her, gave her the guilt trip. Boom, she stayed, like a good little piggy bank. They laughed again, louder this time. She thinks we actually appreciate her, Mom sneered. But come on, she's nothing special, just a source of cash. If she ever stopped paying, Dad said, we'd drop her in a heartbeat. The air drained from my lungs. Then he added, without hesitation, truth is, I never even wanted her. She was an accident, born too early. We were stupid kids. She ruined everything. We could have gone to college, had a life. Brooke giggled. She feels guilty just for existing. It's hilarious. She'll skip vacations, eat ramen, and still send us money like clockwork. Tyler laughed. Maybe next time she says she can't afford something, I'll suggest instant noodles. That should do the trick. Their laughter kept echoing, cruel and casual, as I finally hit end with trembling fingers. I sat there in shock, staring at the screen, hearing nothing but that awful chorus of voices replaying in my mind. I just transferred $400 to people who didn't love me, didn't respect me, who, by their own words, never even wanted me. I must have sat frozen at my desk for half an hour, maybe longer. My body moved on autopilot. I finished my work like a ghost. I drove home in complete silence, parked my car in the usual spot, and walked inside without taking off my shoes. I collapsed on the couch and just stared at the ceiling. I couldn't cry. I couldn't scream. I couldn't even think. Eventually, my phone buzzed. A new text from Mom. Thank you so much for helping with the sink repair, honey. You transferred the money so quickly. You're our angel. Love you. I stared at the message for a long time. Same tone, same sugary praise, the same words she'd always used. But now I knew. None of it was real. They didn't love me. They didn't appreciate me. I wasn't family. I was financing their comfort. A utility. A joke. And that's the moment it all changed. Not with a dramatic explosion. Not with tears. Just a quiet, soul-deep realization that I was done being their lifeline. I stared at the message from Mom. You're our angel. Love you. I read it once, then again, and then a third time. The same sweet, overly affectionate tone she always used, the same one that had comforted me for years. But now, I knew the truth. I wasn't their angel. I was their ATM. And suddenly, every sacrifice I'd ever made, every skipped vacation, every bill I paid, every hour of overtime I worked just to keep them comfortable, came rushing back, not with pride, but with a bitter taste in my mouth. I thought I was being a good daughter, a loyal sister, a responsible, loving family member. But they didn't see me that way. They saw me as a transaction, a line item in their monthly budget. And the worst part, I had allowed it. Mr. Bennett's words echoed in my mind. Make sure your relationship with your family is really as equal and healthy as you think it is. He'd seen it before I did. They weren't scared of losing me when I mentioned Dallas. They were scared of losing their funding, their lifestyle. The fog was lifting. The next morning, I got up and went to work like usual, but everything felt different. Lighter, clearer. By 10 a.m., I found myself standing outside Mr. Bennett's office again. I knocked. Lauren, come in, he said, looking up from his monitor. How are you doing? I sat down and looked him in the eye. I've been thinking about what you said about my family, and you were right. It's not healthy, it's not equal. I've been carrying everyone for years, and they've been fine with it. He nodded silently, letting me continue. Is the Dallas position still open? I asked. A slow, knowing smile spread across his face. It is. Are you ready to take it? Yes, I said for the first time with no hesitation. As soon as possible. Good for you, he said, proud. You'll do great there. When can you start? I need a few weeks to wrap things up, close my lease, sell some stuff, but I'll be ready. Take the time you need. I'll start the paperwork today. I left his office feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Free. For the first time in a long while, I was making a decision for me, not for anyone else. Not to keep someone else comfortable. Not to fix anyone else's mess. That afternoon, I called Mr. Whitaker, my landlord. He was in his 70s, the kind of guy who still wore a watch and always sent hand-signed holiday cards. Hi, Mr. Whitaker. It's Lauren from 4B. I need to talk to you about my lease. Sure. What's going on? I got a job offer out of state. I need to move. Quickly. I know I'm supposed to give 30 days notice, but is there any flexibility? He paused for a moment. Lauren, you've been a great tenant. Never once paid late, always respectful. When do you need to be out? 2 weeks if possible. He chuckled softly. Tell you what, let's terminate it next Friday. No penalties. Consider it a thank you for being one of the good ones. I almost cried. Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. That means more than you know. The following week was a whirlwind. I sold most of my furniture to a local consignment shop, packed the rest into boxes, and lined up a moving company for Thursday. I found a decent one-bedroom in Dallas through a realtor. Clean, safe, walking distance to work. Nothing fancy, but mine. The hardest part wasn't the packing or the planning, it was the silence. For the first time in forever, I hadn't heard from my family. No phone calls, no texts, no guilt trips or last-minute emergencies. Just silence. It was eerie, but also peaceful. By the time I handed Mr. Whitaker my keys on Friday, I felt like I was shedding an old skin. Before I go, I said, "Can I ask you a favor?" "Of course," he replied. "If anyone comes looking for me, especially family, can you tell them I moved out and left no forwarding address?" He raised an eyebrow, but didn't ask questions. Just nodded. "You got it," he said. "Far as they're concerned, you disappeared." "Especially my family. Could you not tell them where I went?" I asked Mr. Whitaker softly as I handed him the keys. "Just say I moved out." He gave me a concerned look. "Everything okay?" "It will be," I replied. "I just need a clean break from some toxic people." He nodded. No further questions. "You got it. Far as I'm concerned, you disappeared." I thanked him with a bottle of his favorite Merlot, and we shook hands one last time. "Take care of yourself, Lauren," he said, genuine and kind. Saturday morning, 8 hours. That's how long it took to drive from my old life to my new one. Just me, my car, and a trunk full of everything I actually owned. As the miles passed, I felt the weight begin to lift, mile by mile, like I was breathing real air for the first time in years. I arrived in Dallas with a sense of nervous peace. I spent the weekend getting settled into my new one-bedroom apartment. It wasn't anything extravagant, but it was mine. No strings, no guilt, no one waiting to text me a bill. Just me and a blank slate. Monday morning. I walked into my new office with a fresh start in front of me and just enough butterflies in my stomach to remind me I was alive. The team was friendly. The work was challenging, in a good way. And, best of all, people actually listened when I spoke. For the first time in forever, I felt like a professional. Like the woman I always knew I could be if I wasn't being emotionally drained every month by people who only saw me as a paycheck. But by day 3, the past came calling. Literally. My phone lit up with Mom's name. I stared at it, not with fear or obligation, but with clarity. I let it go to voicemail. She tried again an hour later, then again that night. Still, I didn't answer. The next day, a text came in. Haven't heard from you in a while, honey. I was thinking of coming over to visit this weekend. It's been too long. Translation? They needed money, and this time they were planning to ask in person. I deleted the message. Over the next few days, the calls and texts escalated. First Mom, then Dad, then Tyler and Brooke, each trying to reach me, none of them getting through. I imagined their confusion, their frustration, their rising panic. Why wasn't their personal ATM answering? Then it came, the expected guilt trip. Mom texted, saying the mortgage was due and asked if I could send the payment like always. This time I smiled, a real honest-to-God smile, because for the first time in years I knew I wasn't sending them a single cent. They didn't own me anymore. But the calls didn't stop. In fact, they doubled. Tyler called 6 times in one day. Brooke left a voicemail saying she really needed to talk. Dad sent a text asking if I was okay, trying the concerned parent angle. I ignored every one of them. It felt amazing. Then came the panic. Mom sent a frantic message saying she'd driven to my old apartment and found it empty. She said the landlord wouldn't tell her where I went. I laughed, out loud. Good old Mr. Whitaker had kept his word. After that, their messages turned frantic, disjointed. Where are you? What's going on? Why won't you answer? They even tried calling my office. But I'd already informed HR. If anyone asked for me, say I no longer work there. No exceptions. A week later, I decided it was time. Time to end it for good. No more loose ends. No more cracks in the wall. I sat down at my laptop and opened a blank email. One last message. Subject. No more, Mom. I heard your conversation. After the call about the sink repair, you forgot to hang up. I heard everything. What you, Dad, Tyler, and Brooke really think of me. I know now that I'm not your daughter. I'm your bank account. I'm the pathetic martyr. I'm the accident that ruined your lives. I know the tears at dinner were fake, just part of the act to keep me close, and paying. I know none of you ever really loved me. I ended the email with no dramatic send-off, just the truth. So, congratulations. The nobody you laughed at is no longer your safety net. Don't bother trying to contact me. I'm changing my phone number, and you'll never see another cent from me. Before I could second-guess myself, I hit send. And that was it, until the next morning. I woke up to a long, breathless email from Mom, pages of it. She said they were all devastated and deeply sorry. She claimed that after reading my email, she had such severe chest pains that they had to call 911. She spent the night in the hospital with heart problems, she said. Now she wanted to see me in person, to apologize, to talk, to make things right. I read the whole thing with a hollow expression and then shook my head. Even now, after all that, I could see it for what it was. Another ploy. Another carefully crafted attempt to reel me back in with guilt and emotional blackmail. Number I deleted it. No reply, no reaction. That same week, I kept my word. I changed my phone number. I blocked every single one of them on social media. I added email filters so that anything from them would go straight to spam, where it belonged. No more surprises, no more traps. And for the first time in my adult life, I was completely, gloriously free. And let me tell you, it felt incredible. My new job in Dallas was thriving. My boss treated me like a real professional, not just a name on a spreadsheet. He respected my ideas, gave me real autonomy, and actually listened when I spoke. 2 months in, I got a raise, a real one. And for the first time in years, that money was mine. No mortgage payments for anyone else, no surprise requests, no drained checking account by the third week of the month. I finally had money, actual savings. I bought myself some new clothes, replaced my beat-up car with something reliable and safe. I started putting money away for a down payment on a house. And you know what else? I finally booked that Miami trip Emily had begged me to take. 3 days, ocean views, great food, sunlight, and laughter. It was the first time in years I didn't feel like I was holding up someone else's world. It's been 6 months since I cut contact. I haven't spoken to my family once, and honestly, I don't care how they're doing. Maybe Dad finally fixed that sink himself. Maybe Tyler got a real job. Maybe Brooke finally held on to something stable, or maybe they're struggling for the first time in years. But whatever it is, it's not my problem anymore. Some of my old friends from back home know the whole story. The good ones have respected my boundaries. They don't bring my family up. They don't share updates. The few times it slips out that someone saw them around town, the subject changes quickly. And I appreciate that. I'm saving money now. Really saving. I've been looking at houses, planning my future, even thinking about applying for an MBA. All things I never could have imagined back when I was drowning in other people's needs. But the most important change isn't financial. It's internal. I no longer measure my worth by how much I can sacrifice. I used to think being needed was the same as being loved. But it's not. Love isn't measured by how much you give until there's nothing left. That wasn't love. That was enabling. Now, I still help people, but I do it differently. I volunteer at a local financial literacy center on Saturdays, teaching young adults how to build credit, budget, and save. I mentor new hires at work. I donate to charities that align with my values, but I no longer light myself on fire to keep anyone else warm. Sometimes people ask me if I miss my family or if I feel guilty. The answer is simple. No. You can't miss people who never actually loved you, and you can't feel guilty for refusing to be someone's victim. I'm 29 now. I live in a city I love. I have friends who care about me, not what I can give them. I'm building a life rooted in peace, purpose, and possibility. Last month, I took a weekend trip to Austin just because I wanted to. I stayed in a beautiful boutique hotel, had dinner at a 5-star restaurant, and bought myself a necklace I'd been eyeing for months. The trip cost around $800, the same amount I used to give my family every month without thinking. As I sat by the rooftop pool, sipping a cocktail and reading a novel, I let my mind wander back. Back to the life I used to live. Back to the exhaustion, the manipulation, the belief that I somehow owed them everything just for being born. And then I thought of that phone call, the one they didn't know I heard, and I whispered a quiet, thankful thought to myself. Thank God I heard the truth, because if I hadn't, I might still be there, chained to a lie, buried under someone else's expectations, and giving up my own life to prop up theirs. But not anymore. Now, I live for me, and it feels like freedom. Life lesson from Lauren's story. Know the difference between love and obligation. Lauren's journey is a stark reminder that love without respect is not love at all, it's control. Many of us, especially those in midlife, know the silent pressure of being the responsible one, the provider, the fixer, the emotional anchor for everyone else. But when giving becomes expected, and sacrifice is met with manipulation instead of gratitude, it's time to reevaluate. This story teaches us that being needed is not the same as being valued. It takes courage to walk away from toxic patterns, especially when they're disguised as family loyalty. Lauren's choice to start over wasn't selfish, it was healthy. She didn't stop being generous, she simply redirected her energy toward people and causes that honored her worth. Middle age is often when we finally ask, What about me? This story says it's okay to answer that question boldly. You don't owe lifelong servitude to people who drain you. You owe yourself peace, purpose, and the freedom to build a life rooted in mutual respect. Love should never come with a receipt, and when it does, it's time to stop paying the price.